I was able to make the most amount of money I've ever made in my life. Hi, my name is Deja. I'm the owner of Deja Love Treats, and we're going to talk today about being a home bakery owner or retail or storefront as a bakery owner. I did both. I'm 24 years old and I've been in business for a decade, so I think I got some knowledge to talk. So let's get into it. Things first, we're going to talk about what my life was like in a storefront as a storefront owner. So when I was a storefront owner, I rented my space out. My rent was $7.25, very, very cheap, by the way. And I think water was included. So I have to pay $7.25 a month. I have to pay my electricity, which ranged from about $300 to $500 a month as well. So electricity was almost a rent, which was insane to me. But nevertheless, we opened our storefront. It took me nearly a year to open my storefront because I had a lot of renovations to do, which were costly. I did get ripped over by a lot of contractors, so I was paying more than I should have been paying for a simple task like cleaning the floors or simple wall paint that I got. It was ridiculous. I lived, I learned, and yeah. So, I did that, and I took a year to open up my storefront. So I hired a person to help me with my finances and to help me get all the things I needed to open my storefront. So you did need a food handler certification. Not only that, but I also had to get a manager one. So that was I think it was called a manager one. That was like a 2-day course I had to take. And I passed that. So I got both of those certifications. Then you had to get an inspection from the fire department. That took a while, but I passed that. Then the Board of Health, the Department of Health had to come out and inspect your place. And they usually come twice a year after you didn't open. But before you could open, they came and you kind of give them like a blueprint of where you want everything in your space. They have to approve that blueprint. Once that blueprint is approved, then you're able to get like a full detailed inspection. They came out, they saw a few things they didn't like. Basically like small things like they didn't want this by this area, so I had to change the areas, and then they have to come all the way back. So that was the whole process. I got that together, and then you have to pay property taxes. I had to set up my sales tax account. I feel like I'm missing a few things, but that's what I can remember for right now. So it's a lot of hoops you gotta go through basically to open a storefront. And I will say the taxes are higher if you have a sit-down place versus if you don't have a sit-down place, as I would say here in Louisiana. So I finally opened my storefront, yay! And I had like a opening ceremony, ribbon cutting party. My community showed a lot of love, and we were starting off to a good start. And I would say the first few months was blissful. I will say I did do a huge mistake. I was planning my wedding. Excuse the airplane that's passing by. But I was planning my wedding while I was opening a storefront at the same time. So I was literally basically setting myself up for bankrupt. And spoiler alert, I did file bankrupt. We'll talk about that in a minute. And so I literally set myself up for not success. So I opened up the storefront, and I had my first employee, which was a younger girl. Eventually, she doesn't work for us anymore. She had left. And then I also had another employee, Miss Tiffany, who stayed the whole while. She's an old lady, which was like amazing, because like I'm a young girl and the old lady don't work for me, look at me up as her boss. And I don't even like to be called a boss, because I know I'm a manager, I know I'm the CEO of the whole place, but girl, let's just be chill. But I had her. So basically I only had this the younger girl for about 2 months, and then after that she left. And then and she didn't leave because of me or because of any like things that we did at the shop. It literally just because she had to move, which sucks. But anyways, she left, and then I had Miss Tiffany, I had my mom, I had my grandmother, and I had me. So I had 4 of us on payroll. Huge mistake. I should have literally just left payroll as just me and my grandmother, or just me and my mom. Like I should just have 2 people on payroll, because I wasn't ready for the amount of payroll opening the storefront just yet. And so on top of that, this is my only income as well. So we have bills at the house, which I have my husband who pays majority of the bills, but I pick up the little slack that needs to be picked up. So we had I'm paying bills I'm paying 2 rents, 2 electricity bills. You know, you got car insurance, I got payroll, I got taxes, I have things that I have to pay for outside of, I have inventory, I have supplies. Like everything was adding up, and then in most months we were making between $5,000 and $10,000. But you're making that much money, but honestly, we wasn't seeing a profit. My first year, I made over $130,000. I think it was like 135,000, something like that. And that's really good to start your first year of business. So yay me. But out of all that money, I was in the red. The red, coach, the red. I was in the red because one, my prices wasn't high enough to keep up with the capital and the profit. To keep up with the capital and the inventory. So basically, I was charging too little for my ingredients cost. So my supply cost was outweighing how much I was actually making. On top of that, I was in the red for payroll. I was having too much money going out to payroll that I should be keeping it starting off first. And then on top of that, I took too long opening. So by me taking a year opening, I'm paying rent for a whole year. That's space that I can't even use. And so that literally was a biggest downfall. On top of contracts double charging me, triple charging me than what they should have charged me. Finding out later in the game because I was young and they were trying to get over me. But that's a long story. Another story for another day. So literally, your girl's going through. Okay, that was a mistake. And then the second mistake was I opened my sales tax account. I was paying sales taxes, but I was not paying parish taxes. So I was behind on sales tax and parish taxes because I thought my accountant was doing both of them, but she wasn't. And so we're in the storefront for about a few months, and we're doing so good on capital. I have a Square account, so we're doing good on capital, and Square offered me a Square loan. So it was like I took out $18,000 and I paid back, I think it was 10% of every sale that I had, which is a big amount, and a flat fee of I think $200 a month, something like that. Can't remember the terms of contracts. Okay. So I got the $18,000 and I used the $18,000 on paying back credit cards because why? I opened my business with credit cards that me and my husband had. Rookie mistake. I shouldn't have did that. So we're in credit card debt. I literally leveraged everything we had, all the savings we had, all the credit cards we had. Baby, we used everything to open the storefront, and that was a huge red flag, huge mistake right there. When I should have used business credit and leveraged my business, but that's a whole different thing. Like I said, I was young. I really know what I was really getting myself into. I just not really wanted a bakery storefront. It was my dream. I was doing this for so long. I think I was 6 years or 5 years in after I got the storefront. So I'm like, I'm ready. And this mistake cost me and my husband. Seriously. Like, oh child. Anyways. So it was like a lot of hard things going in and on, and eventually my business just filed bankruptcy. We filed bankrupt, and we started over. I'm back home base. It's been about almost 2 years since I left the storefront, and we're doing so much better. Financially, I'm more free. I'm less physically tired, emotionally tired, spiritually tired. The Lord, my season was up. I literally was moving out of God's alignment. He was like, wrap it up. It's time to close the shop down. It's not what I want for you. I closed it down. Yes, I might have filed bankrupt. Yes, I might have failed in the eyes of people. But honestly, it was literally a setback that I know I have time to recover from. I'm only 24. So by the time I'm 30, the bankruptcy not even going to matter anymore. That's really my prime time. So I got time to fix this huge mistake. And it was a costly mistake. But nevertheless, that's owning a storefront. So take it from me. Don't do the mistakes that I made. Now, being home-based, there are pros and cons here too. I'm limited to what I can sell. I'm capped at what I can sell, I believe. I think Louisiana just kind of made the cap go a little higher on certain goods. But you're capped at what you can sell. You can't really sell to corporations or to like stores because you're in a home kitchen, but that's not really my goal, so I'm okay with that. But if that's your goal, I would suggest you get commercial space. Also, you're like limited to a confined area. I will say it does emotionally block my brain sometimes because I am at home. First, when I was in the shop, I'm like, okay, I'm actually in a store. I was getting tasks done, but now I can kind of be a little lazy, a little laid back because I'm at home. I can watch TV when my cakes are in the oven, like something like that. Like, it kind of blurs the line sometimes with professional versus being professional and just kind of being laid back, relaxed. But there are a lot of pros. I save a ton of money. The only people on payroll is my mom. I mean, it's me and my grandmother. Only us two is on payroll. The ones people gotta pay every week. So I'm able to save a lot of money. I'm at my mom's house, so I just give her something every month on bills, which is way less than he paying almost $13-14 a month just on keeping the store up and alive and thriving. I'm able to, like, I will say, having a storefront, you have to have set hours. Here I don't have to. I literally just say, I'm gonna take these custom orders on this day, it's gonna take this much time. I can work on my own schedule. Versus when you have a storefront, you can't be inconsistent. You can't just be like, oh, I'm open Monday for 2 hours, close Tuesday, I'm open Wednesday for 4 hours. Like, no, you gotta be like, hey, I'm open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. 6 p.m. close on Sundays. Here I could be like, hey, I'm taking a week off, and that's gonna be it. I don't have to worry about payroll, like paying people. Like, I have my grandmother payroll, but we just work on set orders. We don't have a set time to do stuff. So I will say, honestly, I prefer being home. I know there's cons and there's pros to both. The pros that was in the shop was I was able to get a lot more clientele faster. I was more visibly seen. I was people respected me a little bit more because I had a whole store. I made a lot of great connections being in the storefront. I learned a lot of lessons. I learned what it is to really be a head boss. Like, you really a old store girl. You that girl. But because I was in the storefront, so a lot of pros to the store. I don't want you to think the storefront was all bad, because it wasn't. But honestly, it just wasn't for me. I knew eventually I wanted to be a mom, which I am now. I have a almost 6-month-old, and I know I want to be a mom, and I want to be more in her life because I was a former teacher. So I did want to be able to be in her life and teach her, and I couldn't do that in storefront because in storefront you're working literally between 12 and 16-hour days when you first getting started, because it's just you're trying to get your store out, you're trying to get your name out. And that wasn't a life that I really wanted for myself. Once I got married and I knew that I wanted to be a mom soon, your vision changes. When I got the storefront, I was literally newly engaged when I first got the storefront, and then when I opened it, I was about to get married, or recently had got married. And so we weren't thinking about having kids for like another 2-3 years, but then I know that I was like, it just was perfect timing to kind of close it, because I knew that I just wasn't gonna fit my lifestyle that I wanted anymore. Like my maturity level, my mind changed. And I will say, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I had a storefront, because if I didn't do it, I would have been constantly worrying about doing it, and I might have did it probably way worse than I did it if I waited. But I am grateful I did the storefront. I am not grateful for the lessons and the bankruptcy that I had to do, but I am grateful for the things that I've learned. So after all this information, are you team storefront or team home base? I love you guys. Thanks for watching. Until the next video. Bye.